Hello, babies. Welcome to the Listen Bitch podcast with your mindset coach, host, Brandon Lynette. This is your go-to destination for unlocking your full potential and embracing the extraordinary possibilities within you. This is a journey of self-discovery and empowerment as you explore the transformative power of stepping into greatness. Come into alignment with your God-given power and gifts, unleash your soul, and learn to co-create a life you love. As you become the writer of your own story in this podcast, you're going to find the inspiration, practical tips, and the sometimes abrasive nudge to take the leap of faith towards your dreams. You are in the right place. Buckle up so we can unleash your inner badass. Hello, darlings. If you're new here and my daily listens have spiked. So I know you bitches are doing your job. I know you're sharing the podcast, and I'm just here to say thank you. I love you for this. I love you for spreading the word, for just, giving me what I need to keep the show alive. So I super appreciate you. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you go to brandonlynette.com and sign up for emails, my love letters, all the things. If for some reason you're not getting my mail, make sure that you are checking your spam and that you are setting my emails set to favorites. Okay. And then make sure you check out my books for sale. There's a link on the tab on my website where you can pick up a book. And if you check out the podcast notes, I've got quite a few awesome things there. My favorite core supplement. Okay. My 3 scoops a day. It's like the first link when you go there. If you are not already taking this supplement, you need it. This is immune health, digestive health. It is 3 ingredients, 3 scoops in a morning drink that will change your life, literally. And then I've got my listenbitchdonations.com link where you can throw a couple bucks to the show just to support the journey here. I appreciate you for that. And if you don't have the extra bucks, I know everybody's just kind of going crazy. The grocery store got really expensive, it seems like, overnight. So I get it. If you don't have the funds, that is very cool. I still managed to buy my chai and pay for the podcast to be up. But there is a pay to play, and that means I really need you to share the podcast out. I need you to talk to your friends about that. And then make sure you are in my group for journal prompts. That's the Listen Bitch group. And then Bible study for a badass. If you guys are into my schedule, it is there. And because we're going to be talking about Microdose Monday, we've got a link up there for you guys to get your 90-day dose. Very discreet, sent to you very discreet. Okay. I also share my favorite coffee up there too. And I'm not a coffee fan. I just want to make that very clear, but this stuff is like, it is like something I look forward to every single day. I love it. I actually put my 3 scoops in it, so it works out, and I drink it cold. So it's just a little neurotropic love. Okay. I do believe last week I told you guys I would nerd out a little bit with psilocybin because I am so obsessed with it. So I just want to talk a little bit about kind of the status of where your brain probably is. Now, if you're one of my beauties who is already currently on a microdose regimen, you know about this. You already know about this, and I know you're seeing, the difference in who you are and who you're becoming already. But for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, we have a default mode network, DMN. Okay. It's the network of your brain regions that's active when we're at rest. So it's your autopilot. Okay. This is like the part of your brain that when you drive home and you just kind of don't remember the drive home, your body knew what it was doing, right? It got you home on autopilot. But it comes out when we're not focused on the outside world. And it's, for some of us, it's involved in the daydreaming, memory, even just self-referential thoughts. Okay. So what we want to do to give ourselves the best chance at becoming the best version of us and kind of getting out of these old patterns, old behaviors, old stories, all the things that are keeping us stuck, is that we want to rewire this DMN. Okay. We want to rewire it. And there's a million and one ways to do this. Okay. I say there's not a lot of cheat codes in life, but microdosing psilocybin is a cheat code for sure, because it has a lot to do with neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity, this is literally, the brain has the ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. Okay. That's called neuroplasticity. Once upon a time, nobody thought that your brain could ever repair or heal or grow. They just thought that was it. And the capacity and the potential of our brains is something that we can't even fathom. We cannot comprehend the power of our brains, but the small things that we learn to understand can change everything. So, new experiences, learning, these all strengthen or weaken those connections in your DMN. Okay. So, like, if you are really working on your mindfulness, that is going to help change how your default mode network is actually functioning. So, like doing mental exercises, engaging in tasks that challenge your brain, like learning something new, brushing your teeth with the opposite dominant hand. Lots of little things can change how the DMN is interacting with those other networks in your brain. And absolutely, there is some talk therapy, that can also promote some changes. But really it's because of learning how we can process, memories and emotions. But everything in your life is going to affect your brain. So your diet, exercise, sleep, all of this impacts your overall brain health, and it influences the functioning of the default mode network. So I'm never like, hey, why don't you guys microdose and then never change anything else about your life? I want you to understand that we are here to grow and evolve into the best version of ourselves. And that means we have to start taking care of little things. Okay. And I can tell you, coming off of a couple days of having cocktails, eating crappy food, having sugar back in my life, my vibration today is super, super low. Like, it took a lot to get myself to just focus and sit down and do this. Because I did not treat myself well at all. And it affects my soul. It affects my soul. It affects my mood. It affects everything about me. So I'm not going to beat myself up. I made some choices. I had a really great time. I don't think I would have done anything different. It was great. I just know that, it can only be a little part of my life, right? It's like that 80-20, only I want to move it to 90-10. 90% of the time, I want to be that high functioning, whatever. And then there's another 10% where I'm going to eat the cake, right? That's going to happen. But all of these habits here affect the DMN. Okay. Everything you're choosing to do is affecting your brain. But the fact that it can be rewired through all of these things, it is just all about the brain's inherent ability to adapt and change. And that's what it does. That's what we've done. So we want to work together with our, commitment to co-creating our life. We want to commit to being the best version of ourselves, to giving our brains the break. You're tired, it's because your DMN is overloaded. That shit's smoking. Okay. One of the things that I really am obsessed about is the fact that science has proven that microdosing psilocybin, just taking a small amount of psilocybin, promotes new communication pathways. You've got increased connectivity. And so when they study this, they're using a functional MRI, okay? And it shows right then when psilocybin goes to work, it's enhancing that connectivity between different brain regions. That increased connectivity leads to it's a more integrated and almost flexible pattern of brain activity. So this is how we're facilitating new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new ways of problem solving. Neuroplasticity is being promoted at this point, and this is your brain's ability to reorganize and form those new connections. And what it's doing is because it's activating your serotonin receptors. Okay, we're talking about the 5-HT2A receptor. Okay, that plays the role in like your mood regulation, your cognition, your learning. So all of a sudden you've got enhanced creativity and you've got divergent thinking. So research has shown that psilocybin enhances that creative thinking, that flexibility. And people that report on the studies talk about improved abilities to think outside of the box. And when you're doing this, you are training your brain to lead itself in the new formation of ideas and solutions. It alters your emotional processing. So it's like allowing you to reevaluate and reframe your thoughts and feelings. When you're in the default mode network, you've got patterns of thinking and behavior that have been speaking over yourself for years. Okay. If you're always like, I'm so stupid, I'm a failure, I'm not good at this, that's the fucking default mode network. You stuck your ass with a shitty story. Nothing ever works out for me. Nothing great happens for me. I'm the most unlucky person. I'm miserable. I'm disgusting. All the shit you're saying to yourself. Like, you have programmed this shit. Okay. That's where we're letting the devil win, because you have this incredibly abusive programming in your head. And everybody does it, you guys. So it doesn't make you special. But what you can do is start having the chance to reframe your thoughts and feelings. You get the new perspectives on just personal issues, and it's fostering your personal growth, and it's changing your thought patterns. And all of a sudden you start speaking life over yourself, and you start feeling life. That's it. And I mean, they are using this to treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, because of the new communication pathways that psilocybin is bringing into your body. It's helping people break free from that entrenched negative thought pattern. That's it. It's ripping you out of your regularly scheduled program and saying, hey, let's start a new movie over here. And you get to change the channel to whatever you want. That's part of our co-creating, right? You get to change the channel on your perspective, on your feelings, on your responses. Psilocybin shows so much promise in facilitating that new communication, okay? Because you've got the connectivity. Scientifically, it's proven the neuroplasticity. And then all of a sudden you've got this improved emotional processing. So you have that mental health and cognitive flexibility. So I'm obsessed with neuroplasticity, okay? This is where we are encompassing like the broader ability of the brain, okay, to reorganize itself by those new connections. But it affects like the existing neurons and the overall neural network, okay? So it's huge, but it's also playing a part in neurogenesis, and that's the regeneration or generation of new neurons from your neural stem cells. So it's happening most in like the hippocampus, right? You're learning your memory and your emotional regulation. But it's a very complementary process, okay? When you are first exposed to psilocybin, okay, it's primarily acting on that serotonin system, right? The 5-HT2A receptor. But activating these receptors, it stimulates signaling pathways that will promote neurogenesis in the hippocampus. Okay, this is that part for your learning and memory. And psilocybin elevates levels of, is it BNFD, BDNF, okay? And this is a protein that supports the growth, it supports the survival and the differentiation of neurons, okay? So the higher your BDNF level is, the higher those levels are associated with increased neurogenesis and improved cognitive function, okay? So all of a sudden, when these two things get together, you're reducing your stress, you're reducing your anxiety, and those things inhibit neurogenesis, okay? They're stunting your growth. You understand? Stunting your growth. So when you can promote a more relaxed and open mental state, that's what psilocybin does. You create that perfect environment for new neurons to form. You are like, let's create, baby. Let's create, let's grow, let's move. So all of a sudden you have it's synaptogenesis, okay? That's the formation of those new synapses. And you can see these little dudes. Like if you ever watch videos of what our brains do and what every little cell in our body is doing, it is insane to me. It is such it's an incredible awareness of how much is at work inside of your body. But you're creating this great environment. And so we're forming these new synapses between the neurons, and we're creating neurogenesis. That's it. These new formed neurons need to establish connections to integrate into existing networks. We need new connections, new stories. Every day you wake up can be that clean slate of new, and your brain is going for the ride with you. That's it. Psilocybin is enhancing your cognitive flexibility. That allows people to explore those new perspectives. It gives you that break. And the mental the fact you can adapt mentally here, this is going to encourage your brain to forge those new connections, supporting that integration. A lot of magic happens with your serotonin receptors. When they're activated, you've increased your levels, you've reduced the stress, you've enhanced that synaptogenesis. Okay, you've got improved cognitive flexibility. It's in full support of neurogenesis and promoting overall brain health. And do not take my word for this, okay? I want you to go do this research on your own, because to live a life, I think, as a version of our best selves, neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, they're interconnected. Together, they work to support our ability, our brain's ability to adapt and learn. Your brain needs that stimulating environment. And there's a million things you can do to start creating these things. It just, and it entails you turning off the Netflix, stop scrolling on your TikTok, put your phone down, get outside, get some fresh air, and do something about this. It is so hard to watch people just staying stuck in the box and they don't want to change. Like, they just want to fucking be miserable. And that's okay. If you're someone who is like, I don't want to change my brain space, I don't want to change my perspective, I am who I am and fucking that's it, right? It's such a waste of space because their perspective is miserable. Like, you just want to be miserable and you can stop that. You just got to get off the ride. It's just you making the choice, Otherwise, if you want to stay there, like, don't make the rest of us have to hear you complain. I couldn't imagine every single day waking up and there's something wrong with my life. I am going through this with my 10-year-old kid, right? Every single day, the perspective is it's terrible and it's heavy. And I have to like protect my own energy just to not fall into that. What a miserable way to live, though. And the fact that we're adults and we've grown through this process and we have this level of awareness and we know that there's so many things out there that can change the trajectory of our lives, that we get to choose the perspective that we're having. I don't care what you're going through. If you're alive, that's a big fucking deal. Your body's doing the damn thing. Find some gratitude in that. There's so many things, learning a new hobby, getting some exercise, choosing some healthy food, I want to do the 90-10. I want you to strive for 70-30. 70% of your life should be super healthy, fulfilling. And then 30, do what you got to do. Eat the cake, okay? Eat the cake. I don't think there's a lot of cheat codes in life. You've got to go through it. And when I microdose psilocybin, I'm not skipping the line. I just am aware of the fact I'm in line and this is my next step. This is my next step. This is what's up next, right? Bringing that level of self-awareness and that level of emotional growth and the level of just like being able to choose my perspective, to choose my vibration, to say like, I'm not looking for someone that's lost. I'm creating exactly who I want to be. And my brain is going to come with me because I'm going to help it. I'm going to support it. There's so many things we could do to love our brain. You got to love your heart and your brain at the same level, doing these things out of love, out of kindness. You still don't skip the steps. It just makes it it's a lot funner and more enjoyable when you're not feeling like you're still on a fucking Ferris wheel or some kind of spinny ride. The hamster wheel is probably the fastest, right? As long as you're on that wheel, you can't breathe. And here life is still hitting you. You've got these choices to make. You got to be at work. You got kids to take care of. You got, job demands. You got whatever it is. You got to drink your water. You got to get to the gym. You have all these things happening. I microdose and there's no spinning wheel. That's it. There's no spinning wheel. I just move from one task to the next. What's the next right thing to do? I don't let those old patterns and beliefs stop me. Psilocybin stopped it in its tracks. It's doing something new in my brain. So I have a chance to process emotions, whether they're present or coming up from shit I've buried from years ago. It's all there. And it's all out of love, and it's all out of accepting who we are, even the dark parts. You got this, babies. Microdose Monday. I love it. I love nerding out. I think our brains are incredible. I probably should have just been a brain surgeon, but that's a lot. That's a lot of classroom time. I don't think I could have sat still that long. So we're just gonna love that I have the neurospicy brain that's gonna find all of the answers for you guys on my own. And don't take my word for this, because there are legit doctors out there that have done the studies that are advocates for this. Okay. And I'm not talking about the big pharma sellouts, bitch. Healthcare is a business. Okay. So yeah, big pharma isn't going to be like, hey, microdose psilocybin, because those motherfuckers don't want you happy. They want you sick and fucked up. Okay. The same people. I mean, it's just it's a terrible system. Our healthcare system in this country was absolutely designed to destroy us. Okay. How long has a company like Pfizer, like all these pharmaceutical companies, been in business to create cures, but they don't cure shit, right? They just come up with all these medications and all these extra medications for that. They don't want cures. There's no money in a cure. There's no money in health. And if you are not living scared, if you're not in that mode of depression and anxiety where you have to lean on the government for everything and you have to depend on the doctors, if you're not that person, you're intimidating and you're scary, because they don't foster us becoming our best selves. That's never been fostered, not in school, not anywhere. They want to put you in a little box, babe. And I want to break your regular programming. I want you to understand there's so much more out there, and you are such a beautiful piece of this. And I think that's probably my favorite thing when I microdose, is I suddenly just feel connected. I feel very grounded. And my personality, I've gone pretty far off the planet Earth. Okay. I'm in a very scary way. So anything that can keep me grounded is everything I've needed, because babe, sometimes it really is hard to be here. It is hard to be human. Yes. But if that's the story we program in our brains, we're going to be miserable every fucking day, because while it may be hard, it's also painful, but it's also beautiful. And it's also magical, and it's also surprising, because what really is around the next corner? What you're doing today decides what's coming around the corner. Break up that programming, get rid of some of these old stories. You are not obligated to be who you were at any given time. And you don't get to play the blame game anymore. You are an adult and you have choices to make. And if microdosing is one of them, check the show notes. I can help you. You will be coached through the process. Okay. There is a list of instructions all the way around, and I will help you, figure out the perfect dose for you. I've got an average dose. Some people need it a little less and some people need it a little more, and it always works out. There's never a level that I would take you where you're going to trip or feel high. Okay. That is not okay. It is not okay. That's not what we do. There is no high, however you want to call that. There's just no physical response to that. And your brain's not going to trip. You're not going to hallucinate. I promise. You're very safe. You're very safe. And I help you through the process. So that's it for today, bitches. I will see you tomorrow. Love you.